investigations for rape. That's kind of weird to me, but you should, if you get raped, you should also go to the police right away.
That is also something you should do. But yes.
Okay, it does look like we're live, so we should be able to start on time. That's shocking in itself. Which is about 3 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Because there's like thousands of people already coming to see tonight's show. Thousands.
Billions. And
billions.
And billions.
Yeah, it's somewhere in that range, that general range is where it is. Hey, and I don't think the computer seems to be doing okay tonight. Oh, don't talk, Tim. Don't say stuff like that.
Hola, se marcha. Who?
Yeah, we're okay yet.
You just said things that are not real words.
They could be in my mind's eye.
Well, I don't know. What about your mind's brown eye?
That's where you poop.
No, not well. Yeah, it's true. Both.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
What's that?
Okay.
Is that Tim?
You know
is
what
that
it
Tim?
is. You know what it is.
Red
Here's one of my favorites. Are y'all ready?
Red box.
So I'm ready.
Put it in your butt box.
Love that one.
What?
I feel like Redbox should try to buy that from us, so that they could use that for their advertising, and they could have that play every time you walk past it at the Walmart. You'd be like, Redbox, put it in your butt box. I think that'd be huge.
Fuck Redbox.
Oh God, don't get started. That was one of your best rants ever.
Stupid, I hate it.
And I mean ever. Okay, is everybody ready? Looks like we're all ready.
Ready for what?
This is... Jesus Christ. Okay.
What are we preparing for?
We're going to the blank screen, guys, so that means we're serious now.
Oh, God.
Very, very serious. Are you ready? Yes, you are. In 3, 2...
6.
No.
8.
Gosh darn it, your public school education. 3, 2...
East Coast Horror Group.
They're here.
Alive! It's alive! It's alive!
East Coast Horror Group presents Dead Art Movie Reviews.
Salutations and mutilations! You're listening to East Coast Horror Group presents Dead On Movie Reviews. Tonight, we will present horror movie reviews and lively debate here on EastCoastHorrorGroup.com and on future select Tuesdays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can join our live chat at that time by clicking on the live shows link at EastCoastHorrorGroup.com website or right there on YouTube. I'm your host, Tim Kretschmann. Pleased that you could join us this evening for tonight's special show. What just happened there? I don't believe it. We had this set up. Adam, what did you do? It says that it's uneven. Where is it?
And your mom. Check your mom's
where
butt.
your picture went.
I can see it.
No, you don't. You see yourself, and that's all you care about.
I can see it right now. I'm on the
We
fucking
know
page right
what
now.
you're like. We know what you're like. We do. It's not on there. What are you talking about? Ugh.
I can see it. I'm watching it.
I just see Tim, Drew, and me.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't see Adam. It's
No.
supposed to have Adam right there. Oh my gosh. What is going on?
Well, Adam, no, it's because Adam's wearing camouflage.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
just
we bring-
kind of blend in.
Yeah.
Did we bring on John Cena instead? Can't see
Can't
him.
Yeah,
see
you
me.
can't see me.
Is that
Oh,
what
and I gotta
happened?
lay my ass down for the 3-second tune.
Oh yeah.
Stop talking about wrestling. It makes me sad in my pants.
A lot of things make you sad in your pants. That is
Oh, wait.
a known quantity. I can't
That's
believe
your
it.
voice.
This is so upsetting to me. Because this thing was set up, and then somebody did something again. And that somebody was
0
probably
people did 0
me.
things.
Well, this is important stuff, Drew. You gotta understand.
That's important to me.
Okay, there it goes. Oh, jeez, Eloise. All right, so that's tonight's show. Thanks for tuning in. Tonight we get to introduce, guess who? Adam Holtzapfel. He's one of our hardcore ECHGers. He is our head columnist, and he is really the new backbone to our website. And he's returned here again tonight to be on Dead On Movie Reviews. Hello, Adam.
How's it going, Tim?
Better now. It wouldn't be a dead-on night without me having some problem with the damn computer. It just wouldn't seem right. Okay, so who else do we have to introduce? Oh, that's right, our gingerific co-host that prefers to go by the very short name of Little Baby Drew Face Poos Seidler. It's Drew. How you doing, Drew?
Never say it again.
Never say what again? Do you mean
You know
Little
what?
Baby Drew Face Poos Seidler?
I hate you.
Or do you mean,
I like magical dongs.
which is it? I'm not sure. Anyway, let's go next to the man of two voices. He's Coach Michael Exler, the Dean of Students. How are you doing, Coach?
I'm doing good, Tim. How are you?
Every day is wonderful when I get to hear this. Okay.
Rolling down a baby down a little tiny well.
Why is the well so tiny?
That makes me happy every time.
Normal size well, dude.
It makes me happy every time. Hey, we got a great show lined up for everybody today. We have I think we have 3 films and then something else. And of course it's Drew with the something else. So we'll get to all of that on tonight's program. But we are going to start with our special guest. That would be Adam Holtzapfel. So, Adam, what have you been watching?
So, I chose to do Jason X this round. It's a movie that gets shit on a lot. Clocks in at 91 minutes, which is a little long to me for this movie.
Right.
Starts out with the credits kind of from Jason's point of view, where he's getting injected by doctors at the Crystal Lake Research Facility. We see Dr. Wemmer, who's played by David Cronenberg. He doesn't want Jason going in the cryogenic chamber. He wants to take him to Scranton to replace Dwight Schrute as the assistant to the regional manager. Then,
Michael!
like Brie Bella last night on Raw, he pretty much fucks up everyone at the facility, ends up in a cryogenic chamber, and then fast forward like 400 years to where he's in space. The cast is pretty fucking annoying. It's Kane's last role as Jason. The
Tell us how
last
you
time
really
he
feel.
puts the hockey mask on. Overall, it's got a good look. You can definitely tell there's a lot more CGI to it than previous films. What I dig about it, though, is they took him out of the woods. If I see one more Jason movie where he's in the woods killing people, I'm just going to throw my TV out the window. Like, we get
That's
it.
what he
You've
does,
done
right?
it for, 9 movies. Just wrap it up and call it a day. So,
Do you want him to take Freddy out of the dreams, too?
well, I mean, that's kind of... Freddy in the Dreams is kind of a more niche thing where,
We get Leatherface out of Texas?
Well, I mean, you can take a chainsaw anywhere.
Have
Not the
chainsaw will
airport.
travel.
Yeah, have chainsaw will travel. But, like, you know, we get it. Camp Crystal Lake, all that. It's just, after a while, it gets repetitive and kind of you don't need to pay attention to them after about the third movie.
Well, a lot of people don't know this, but there was a Jason road movie planned with Leatherface. They were going to take the script to Road to Bali, which was made with Bob Hope and Bing Crosby, and they decided they were going to redo it with Jason and Leatherface, but they found the dialogue wasn't really there, so they had to scrap the idea.
They can't pull off the musical numbers?
Well, the musical numbers were okay, but some of that rapid-fire Bob Hope dialogue, Jason just wasn't up to it. It just sounded like a series of moans.
So this one's got some good effects, good kills. I do like the nanotechnology mask they kind of give him towards the end of the movie, kind of update it with the time that's taking place, and you have a badass heroine with KM14 who's an Vicky from Small Wonder if they made her as an adult, basically. So overall, not a good movie, not a bad movie. I've seen worse in the series.
I actually, this was the second movie of the Friday the 13th that I saw. I saw the first movie, which of course is Jason-less, and except for
Lies is at the end.
Yeah,
Ari
okay, whatever. Spoiler.
How dare you? Ari Lehman is rolling over in his grave right now.
Okay.
Cheeto dick is strong.
Well, he probably had too much of his own sauce. But
Do you mean semen?
Yeah.
yes, that's what I meant. But I finally got to see all of the Friday the 13th movies, and really, I put Jason X almost right in the middle of the movies. It's like, for all the hate it gets, I can think of 2 or 3 other movies that are worse in that series, at least, if not more. You know, so
Yeah, I definitely agree with that.
I would say, you know, you say, oh, I want him out of the woods, but I remember in Jason Takes Manhattan, I was like, get him back in the woods, because this is terrible. So
that one, it all took place on a boat, basically. So
Right.
yeah, that sucked. I would take him in the woods over the boat for Jason Takes Manhattan, but Jason X, it kind of works, take him out of his element,
yeah.
gives him some new tools like the kill where he pushes the lady's face in the cryogenic freeze and
Yeah.
then just smashes it.
I like
Yeah,
the
that's
nanotech
cool.
too, because that, you know, it's a sci-fi element that isn't used in a whole lot of movies, and I would say I would put up the science fiction and kind of the spaceship effects in this movie. I'd put them up against other movies of that time frame. I thought the effects are actually pretty good for, what was it, 2001? I got it right there.
Yeah.
You know, they're
Space
not
Odyssey.
bad. They're not terrible.
Oh.
And you would expect for a Jason X movie, you would expect a relatively low budget, but they do a lot with that budget that they had.
Right, and I think that's part of why it gets shit on so much is because, in a way, it's not a straightforward genre film. It's got the sci-fi element,
Right.
and it's kind of like the Halloween 3 of the Friday the 13th franchise.
See, I thought Jason Goes to Hell was kind of the Halloween.
Yeah.
3. It's like it's a remake of the movie The Hidden. So all right, now
Well,
Mike
I have
and
a
Drew, I'm
question,
sure
though.
you've seen it. Yeah, go ahead.
Now, he's not the only one that's gone to space, and that's usually been a horrible idea when they take these people to space. Leprechaun in space was one, and then Hellraiser Bloodlines was in space as well. So how do you think this one fares to those two? Like, where would you rank them?
I think this is the better of the three. I'd say Leprechaun's probably the lowest. I haven't seen the Hellraiser one in a while, so that's one I definitely need to revisit.
Why? Wait a minute. You just said it's terrible. Why are you going to revisit it? Why do you do this to yourself, Adam? We want to get to the psychology behind you, because you subject yourself to some pretty horrible stuff. Why are you doing that?
Well, somebody's got to watch it.
No, that's not true. Not true. I keep bringing up Things. There's no reason for anybody to watch Things. And yet it's kind of like when you eat something and it's rotten, you always want to tell other people, try this, but it's not a good idea. All right. Are we ready for rating? I think.
Yeah.
Wait, Drew, so. Drew, do you have any comments on Jason? Because I think we've all seen this one.
I do have an interesting story about Jason X. So back in 2001, when this movie came out, I actually got catfished by a deaf girl to go watch this movie on a date.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it's a true story.
What?
What? Wait a minute.
I got catfished by a deaf girl.
Okay.
So there's a girl that I was talking to online on like an online dating service. I forget exactly what the popular one was back then, but we were talking, and she never told me she was deaf. But then when we met up, she talked like you would assume a deaf person would talk, with just kind of weird guttural noises.
Okay.
Oh.
And
it's a crazy story.
I don't know where to go with this.
It's a little nugget of Drew.
Well, I'm glad it worked out.
Was it not real life, Drew?
Now, see, if she was mute, be the perfect. Anyway, let's go to the grading.
I'm just kidding. I didn't have sex with that.
Yes,
I thought we were going to the grading. I pressed the right button. Come on, there we go. Oh boy. All right. So, what would you grade this movie?
I'd have to give it a C+. It's not horrible. And like I said, part of the cast being annoying, you want to see him die, so it delivers on that end. But yeah, could have been better, could have been a lot worse.
You know, there always seems to be in the Friday the 13th movies, I can usually find somebody that I can cheer for. Not true with this one.
Cheer for Jason.
Yeah, I think so.
That's who you're supposed to cheer for.
I think so. I think that's about it. Okay, well, it is time now to go over to little baby Drew face Poos Seidler. And you have, I don't know what to call this. Is this a movie? Is it a story? Why don't you tell us what you prepared for today's show?
Well, I've been kind of busy lately, so this was something that I thought I could slot in here as a dead-on movie review. I guess maybe it's like a radio story, like a podcast-ish. Not in very much a podcast form, but
okay.
It is. I don't know if everyone's ever heard of a creepypasta before. Usually short stories on the internet based on urban legends or creepy internet stuff. But this one is quite a bit longer than most of them. Usually they're about 15-20 minutes a pop. This one was an hour, so about as long as a feature-length film. As long as you cut the fat off of it. So I decided I would talk about this little adventure story here. 1999 obviously takes place in the year 1999, although some of the accounts, some of the information leads me to believe that maybe it was a little before 1999, but we'll say 1999 right now, as is the title.
Could you say 1999 one more time for those that aren't hearing the Prince song in their head? already.
Well, here's the thing, and for the low, low price of $19.99,
there you go.
you can get nude signed pictures of Mike.
Well, isn't that sweet?
And that's at fastcustomshirtsoffmichael.com.
My name's Mike Eckler, and I like to slaughter kittens.
Whoa, I never knew you said that on live radio there.
He says
I
a
did.
lot of things.
Whoa.
All right.
Whoa.
Get back to work there, Drew. Creepy pasta.
So, the story starts out with a young man in his early days. I guess we could probably all remember the first time we got our own television in our room. That's kind of a big deal. You usually 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there, right? Everybody remember that day?
Sure.
And this was back in the days of rabbit ears. No HD programming at the time. So, you'd have to rearrange your antenna. You could get certain channels, not get other channels. And back then, there were some public broadcasting stations, right? You could, if you had the know-how and the equipment, you could kind of broadcast your own short-range television programs, right? So, if you adjusted the ears just right. So, every day after school, the protagonist would come home. It takes place in a little town outside of Ontario, Canada, called Calderon. It was called Local Calderon. Local Calderon 21, I believe, was the name of the station. And every day after Pokemon, our protagonist would turn on one of only 3 shows that this Local Calderon television show would air. This station would air. One was Mr. Bear, which was kind of like a Barney type of show. Only Mr. Bear was something a little bit off about Mr. Bear. Not as high of production value, not as sing-songy. Often have other children from around the neighborhood. Also, there was Bumbo, who was just someone's hands on a table, talking to one another.
With like the thumbs?
It gave more of a feel like they were walking around like 2 legs, kind of a thing. Right?
I like
Okay.
the thumb mouths that you can do. With the googly eyes.
We can think of them as thumb mouths instead, if that's what you'd like.
Googly eyes on your index finger. Sorry.
Even more low budget and less production value than that, if you can believe it.
Huh.
So
I've seen indie horror films. I can believe anything.
a little bit better than Slaughtered Vomit Dolls.
Oh, not possible.
So we had what did I call it? Bumble. Anyway, his name's Booby.
Bumble's
Mr.
bounce.
Bear's and Mr. Bear's cellar. And at the end of every show, as you would see a lot of those shows back in the day, Lamb Chops, Play Along, Sesame Street, that kind of stuff.
The song that doesn't end.
Well, not a song so much as they'd say, "Hey, if you'd like to join us and be a special guest on one of our shows or in the audience, send your information to, the front door of Satan at 1 Satan Way, 666-6666." Anyway. So,
Fire hose.
what's that?
You get to drink from the fire hose.
Yeah.
Just keep reminding me of UHF talking about
Yes.
low budget.
That's what I keep thinking of too. Okay, moving on.
So yeah, these were pretty short, and obviously low budget. So the protagonist takes to the internet and kind of says, in nowadays terms, "Hey, anybody remember this?" And on a forum board, how those threads go. "Yeah, I remember. Do you remember this part of it? Yeah, do you remember that part of it?" Well, apparently, after doing some research, they find that Local Calderon 21 was run by a man who was executed, and they go back into research what exactly was going on here. And what actually has happened was that during that little end segment, he would use that information to abduct children and put them in his show. And as the station went on and on for a little bit longer, after he had grown out of it, there were some really violent and vile things that this man would do to children on the television until the police found it and caught the man in this farmhouse in the country where he had dozens and dozens of children's bodies. So.
Is this Tim's biography?
I know, right?
That hurts.
So yes, local Cardaran 21, and it ran from October 97 to August 1999. So the thing about creepypastas is, although they're always works of fiction, they always try to make them in a way that they seem as believable as possible, as this had actually could have happened. Because I know we've all been there with the rabbit ears and remember the local access stations and all that kind of stuff. And this, I mean, it could happen, right? Especially, even though 1999 to me seems not that long ago, there are probably children today who grew up in that time who think that was a millennium ago. But yeah, I could totally see that happening. I guess our parents were probably a little bit less vigilant in who we talked to and what we watched back then. So I could absolutely see and what this would do to a child's mind seeing this back then. How it could fuck up a whole generation of kids in that area. And they're Canadian, so that makes it even weirder.
I actually know somebody that was on public access in 1989. Public access television.
Was it you?
Yes, it was.
Really? Tell me you were the guy who's like, it's real to me, man.
No, I helped out just the group. We would go and record the local school board meetings and the common council meetings and stuff like that. It really was not interesting. Once in a while we'd do a parade. Back then we didn't even have a studio. Now that they got a studio and everything, I'm not even involved anymore. But yeah, that was my youth and got me started in broadcasting, was public access television. Yep.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, I learned how
Drew
to
got
edit.
Me started in broadcasting.
Who?
Drew.
Yeah.
Is that right?
This is gonna go somewhere dark, so let's not do that. But I actually
two girls,
learned.
one cup. That was the first time.
I learned with a linear editor how to edit videotape, and knowing what it takes to edit now opposed to then, it is so easy these days. And yet I still go to remarkable lengths to not edit anything. And let's do a live show. So
editing is not fun sometimes.
It's not fun most of the time.
It's fun all the time. I don't know what you mean. It's my favorite part.
All the time.
So, I intentionally was kind of vague about exactly what happens through this, because it goes all the way up until like present day, like 2015 or something. I think when this was written.
Is it scary or?
Oh yeah, dude. It's fucked up, man. It's definitely worth. Like I said, I told you guys earlier in the chat that. If you have an extra hour while you're at your desk or something, you don't need to watch anything for this. You just listen.
You can just listen. Okay, so you could bounce this onto an MP3 or something and listen to it too, huh?
Yeah, you can do it on your commute. You can listen to it while you're in the shower. You can listen to it while you're combing your mother's hair.
Oh, that's sweet.
Yeah, any of those things.
You are a sweetheart. Okay, enough of that then. Once we're coming in mother's hair, my goodness. Let's get to the grading part of the show. What are you grading?
It's kind of unfair to give it a grade, to be honest, because after I looked at this, or after I watched it, it's revered as probably one of the best creepypastas of all time. It does get an A if I had to grade it. Just for the length and the depth that this went to, and all the different forums and the life that this picked up on the internet when it was created. Definitely one of the classics. So if you haven't gotten to experience 1999, you could really call it any year, to be honest with you. That's just the year they picked. And Mr. Creepy McPasta, who does most of the narrations, is British and has a pleasant voice, which makes it a little creepier, I think. he doesn't try to be overly dramatic, but just a nice British man talking about dismemberment. Something's a little unsettling there.
Well,
So,
now I know you're lying. There's no such thing
anyone
as a
who
nice British.
likes creepy, paranormal, macabre subject matter.
All right.
Did you get to see Slender Man while you were watching it?
No, I will never watch that because until they do it properly, I just refuse to partake in any sort of media. Even though I did watch that awful Jessica Biel film.
But I thought the documentary about what actually happened was creepy.
Are you talking about the girls that killed their friend or whatever?
Yeah. I thought that was very. What was it? Beware the Slender Man, I think.
So strange because, I mean, Slender Man, the origin of Slender Man is 20 years before those people, 20 years ago, so those kids weren't even born when it came out. So to see it have the legs that it has and to influence children to that point, even today, shows that, the internet's a fucking scary place, man.
It creeps me out because it happened very close to where I live, and the area where it happened.
Isn't the fact that all serial killers come from Milwaukee at some point in their life?
Yeah, it is true, but the area where this happened is about as average, normal type of subdivision area as you'll find in the United States. You would never suspect something that horrific would occur there. But there you go.
I don't know. Like, a lot of people say, like, oh, he was such a nice guy, but look in that girl's eyes, man. She is fucked.
Oh,
and that just didn't happen overnight. Like,
no,
that girl, somebody had to know that she was fucking wrong in the head.
Well, honestly, when I watch those documentaries, I'm always like, why are the parents not incarcerated as well? They were sitting right there. They were sitting right there and didn't notice.
Yeah.
But
little girl's talking. I'm like, if this little girl talked like that in my house, I would be like, we have a fucking problem on our hands, dude. Because she was talking some nonsense.
We need to talk about Kevin.
All right.
I need to see that.
I need to see that one too. All right. It is time now to move ourselves over to Michael Exler with The Devil's Candy. Now, I've been hearing a bit about this, so I'm interested to hear how you felt about this movie.
Is The Devil's Candy those weird little fucking strawberry-shaped things that your grandparents always tries to give you that taste like cough drops?
Yes.
There, case closed.
This was actually a documentary on how they were made. And
Drew ruined
everything.
Mike Crow narrated it.
Dude, I would watch it. So, yeah, this is, I guess this was done in 2015, but didn't get released till 2017. I don't know why.
Now, we have to be cautious how we talk about the main character because he is of the ginger variety, and that's one of Drew's own. So we do need to be cautious.
Okay.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
So this was directed and written by Sean Byrne, I'm going to say, maybe. I don't know. Fuck it. Sounds good to me. He's an Australian director. He is also famous for that one film that was really good. The Loved Ones.
Oh, The Loved Ones. What the fuck? I don't remember that.
Oh, that's a great movie. I recommend that movie all the time to people.
Yeah, so this guy did this film.
Okay.
And it stars Ethan Embry and a guy that you've probably seen 100 times but didn't know his name. His name is Pruitt Taylor Vince. He was hard to describe him. Yeah, backwards name guy. He was in Identity with John Cusack. He was the crazy guy. He usually plays the crazy guy.
He's in The Mentalist, I think, still. Is The Mentalist still on?
No, but yeah, he was in that. I think he was in Heroes for a season or two as like the puppeteer or something.
Yeah, so he's been in a ton of stuff, and he's always really good, and he was really good in this as well. So the film starts out, I don't want to give a ton away because I think people should see it. Adam, you saw this, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Right. So I'll get your take on it here in a minute. But I was just wanted to talk a little bit about the acting of the film. I thought it was really good. I mean, I didn't know Ethan Embry was really still around. I remember him from back in the day type films. But I think he was competent. I think he was good. One thing, ladies out there, if you want to, or gentlemen, if this is your thing, if you want to see Ethan Embry without a shirt on 95% of the time, watch this movie because he doesn't have a shirt on.
He's going to be 50 years old by now.
I don't know how old he is, but he does not wear a shirt, and he's.
Is it hot out a lot there? Is it hot out? Does he have chafing?
Yeah, he's in rural Texas, so it is very hot where they are, and he's a struggling painter.
Well, there you go. He doesn't want to get paint all over his clothes. That makes complete sense.
So he has a big chest tattoo and several other tattoos, and he's a rough, gruff kind of guy. He's a metalhead. They really shove this down your throat that him and his daughter are metalheads, and I don't really think I understood why they were trying to get that across. Like, okay, they're metalheads, that's awesome, whatever. So that's a big part of the film when you watch it. I thought it looked good. It was competently shot. Definitely one thing I want to mention for a plus, it is only an hour and 19 minutes long, which I think is a perfect time for this film. I don't think it ran too long. It didn't run too short. It was really the meat and potatoes of the story. Here you go. And I thought there were some times I was genuinely creeped out, mostly by the backwards name guy. He was intense in several scenes. Ethan Embry sort of, I guess he gets possessed by satanic forces that are in the house, so kind of a cliche idea. But I think they use that as the base, but they do enough to kind of differentiate themselves from all the other type of like haunted house possession type things.
Because they're metalheads.
They are metalheads. They love metal. Lots of headbanging and Metallica.
Especially
now, what I don't understand, you were talking about the backwards name guy, and you said that he was out camping. How does that have anything to do with it? Because you said he was intense.
Oh.
Go ahead, Mike.
So, he was not intense at all. Always throw me off. I was looking at some of the reviews that this film was getting, and some of them are, I think, a little nuts, to be quite honest. Sean Byrne is one of the most fearsome pure talents in the genre world today. A worthy demonic competitor to the Witch, which I would not want that on the front of my poster at all.
The Vivitch? The Vivitch? That's
gorgeous,
how it's properly pronounced, by the way. The Vivitch?
A bad movie. A gorgeous rumination of the thin line between passion and madness. This film could serve as mankind's best look at the beast himself. So those are just a few things, and it goes on with accolades from sites.
Say scariest movie since The Exorcist?
Yeah, no. Did they put that in there? Honest to God, I'm getting sick of a present group excluded. I'm getting sick of a lot of these horror reviewers that just go over the moon on these fucking things. Even if it's a great movie, you can usually hold it back just a little bit. Some of the love affair and blowjobs that they hand out for these horror movies these days just drives me up the fucking wall.
Yeah, terrifying and beautiful is another quote. Deliciously over the top. I don't know why you would use deliciously.
Why would you put delicious there?
Don't know. So I think the hype train on this thing.
Instead of a hat.
This thing is super fun, awesome. Yay. Love it. So
it was, you know what it should be? One of the Craig should be, it's only an hour, 19 minutes. Perfect.
Perfect time. So I think it's a film that you should watch. I mean, if you have the the Netflix to watch it, or Prime Video. You can watch it for $3.99, and buy it or whatever you want to do. But I think it's a decent story. The hype train could really destroy this film, because I didn't read any of that hype before I watched it, and like reading it afterwards, I'm like, I don't know about all this talk that they're doing. Adam, what did you find?
With no expectations.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with what you said, Mike. Is a good premise. Pruitt Taylor Vince and Ethan Embry were both great in it. The metalhead thing did get a little old, like it led to a good soundtrack, but you know, we get it. You dig Metallica, like okay. Right. I do like how it kind of exhibited like passion leading to madness. Like I could see it going that route or a possession route.
Right.
When I saw it as right before the hype hit, so I kind of got lucky with that. But it's one that I haven't watched since I saw it the first time. I thought it was worth a watch, but I don't know if I necessarily need to see it again.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think if the hype train got me before I saw it, I don't think I would have been very kind to this film. But I'm glad I went into it with no expectations, because I was entertained. I thought it was fun at parts. Like I said, you're not entertained. I thought it was creepy at parts, like I said. So it wasn't bad. It's worth your hour and 19 minutes.
So that sounds like you're leading up to this. So what is your grade for Ethan Embry takes on painting a wall?
I'm going to give it a solid B. It had a few issues, but overall it was a good ride. So I suggest everybody check it out. If you like the loved ones, give this guy a shot, because I think we could be hearing his name more.
Come on, there it goes.
Like Jambo Bilbos.
You just said again syllables that you just jammed together out of nowhere.
That's the elf dude.
No, nobody likes a hater, Drew. Nobody likes a hater.
I'm a hater. God damn it, that's me.
That is you.
Tell a friend, tell a neighbor. Most importantly, tell a hater. Just don't drink up.
To see his fucking face again.
All right, it is time now for me to go into my movie. And my movie is a brand new film from 1954 called
so you took a time machine.
Yes, I did. That's the only way. There's no such thing as a VHS or anything. I literally went into my time machine and went back to see this film, which was a good call on my part. Now, I'll tell you why I picked this movie. My brother just got a new projection TV that does 3D. And it got me to thinking, what are some of the greatest 3D movies ever made? And this one always comes up, and I had never seen it in 3D. So
What's it called?
Creature from the... You got me.
Creature?
Yeah.
It's played old Creature?
Creature from the Black Lagoon. So, I had actually... furthermore, I had seen the movie Return of the Creature about 1,000 times in 3D, because back in the 80s there was like a short period of time where 3D was hot, and they showed on the local UHF channel, they had shown Return of the Creature, and you would go to like the local PDQ or something to buy cardboard red and green glasses. And I had the foresight to actually record it on VHS, and I watched that tape all the time. I love monster movies. Return of the Creature is a pretty good one, and in 3D, it was just like, as a young person, I just watched it all the time. But I do think this is the better film, Creature from the Black Lagoon, but I had never seen it in 3D. So I finally got to see it in 3D, and it didn't disappoint. First of all, I do feel Creature from the Black Lagoon is probably my favorite of the Universal monster movies. And obviously part of that is Frankenstein and Dracula and the Invisible Man, I feel particularly have not aged well. They got a lot of noise on the soundtrack. They have long periods where there's just nothing happening. They're kind of rough. The Wolfman, I think, is a strong one, but this movie I really, really enjoy.
Did you know he has nards?
That would be the Wolfman, yes. And here's something that's interesting. Of course, the Oscar this past year went to basically a retelling of The Creature of the Black Lagoon. And when you look at the costume from this movie that was made only a year ago, and then you look at the costume of this in 1954, really the costume's about the same and very well done. When you sit there and you think this was made in 1954, not bad, guys. You did a good job.
I'm sure it was intentional, right? I'm sure Guillermo del Toro intentionally made those costumes similar.
Absolutely, but what I'm saying is, it isn't like they improved on the design a whole lot, and it's pretty well what it is. And what's really impressive is the beautiful underwater photography that's throughout the film. I actually saw, back when it was open, this movie was shot in Silver Springs, which is in Ocala, Florida, and they used to have glass bottom boat tours, and
bottom girls.
I've seen this underwater area, and it is a beautiful, beautiful area. So the underwater scenes are really well done, and seeing fish, just in front of you, and he's in the background, and all that stuff looks great in 3D. But one of the things I hadn't noticed on previous viewings is how good the score is. The score is an old-fashioned 1954, it's just bombastic. It's perfect for this type of film. Probably one of the great horror movie scores, and I didn't realize how much I enjoyed that music, but having watched Return of the Creature over and over, I recognized the theme. I went, I think this is used for trailers all the time. I think it's just one of those themes. Just really enjoy it. The other thing is, unlike Frankenstein, the creature walks around, he's got his arms out like he's night sleeping, or sleepwalking, I should say.
Night sleeping.
That's a new one. Yeah, I made that up just now. But he's like walking around like that. When the creature is doing that same move, he just seems more intimidating. I don't know why. Part of it, I think, is the sound effect they have for the roar that this thing makes is really good. It doesn't sound cheesy. It actually does sound like you would expect that thing to sound. The other part is, you see the creature doing some pretty good physical activities sometimes. It isn't like he's just, just bounding back and forth from one foot to the other. He swims exceedingly well. He's jumping off boats. They actually got him doing some things. Now today, when he jumps off the boat, instead of him just kind of sliding off, they would have probably done some wire work, and he had him launch himself. But for the time that it was shot, really, really well done. And the acting is not the terrible 1950s acting. It's an extremely sexist movie. I can't tell you how many times the guys are telling the female lead, now you stay behind, or you stay safe. And it's hysterical, because I'm like, well, if you guys would stay around her, she'd be perfectly safe, but you guys keep running off. You're like, stay behind, and she's totally unprotected. But the other thing is there's a character actor that does a South American thing. It's a lot like John Voight does in Anaconda, actually. And it's way over the top. And you would think, oh my God, this is the most racist thing you ever saw. But he's one of the smarter characters in the movie. So it kind of avoids that trap. So it really does a nice job. It's worthy. I would highly suggest, if you can get it on Blu-ray 3D, that's the way to go. I saw it on Anaglyph, which the Anaglyph, and that's the red, green, or blue stuff. It had good 3D, but I am now in search of the Blu-ray 3D because apparently it was shot that it could take full advantage of that 3D viewing. So I'm very much looking forward to doing that, and I just got my Jaws 3D Blu-ray, and I'm gonna go see that over at my brother's place too, because that movie I haven't seen in 3D for probably 15 years. So
you mean Jaws 3D?
Jaws 3D, yeah.
That's awesome.
I paid like $200 at one point to get a version of it that would work. Now, of course, that box no longer works with any modern video stuff. So it's kind of like $200 I threw away for watching a movie like twice that way. But then I found the 3D Blu-ray for Jaws 3, which is like $8 on Amazon. I'm like, you're coming home with me. We got to do this. So I'm pretty excited to see that one. All right, it's time for the grading.
It's time for the paw.
It's time for the grade. And again, you kind of have to make some allowances for, how old of a film it is. But I have to give it an A-. It's a nice, quick runtime. There is constant activity in the film. From beginning to end, it just is moving. So a lot of fun. Everybody should check it out and enjoy. So, have you guys all seen Creature of the Black Lagoon?
Yes.
I have.
Do you like it? Is it one of your favorite Universals? Or I know you guys don't really go for
the best of the Universal monsters. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
I like Tremors.
I love Tremors. I actually
Tremors, the Universal monster. Yes.
I actually just watched the latest one that came out. It was up in Antarctica or something. What was it? Frozen in Hell or something? Honestly, the first movie's good, or great. The second one's okay. After you get past that second one, it starts getting real rough real fast, in my opinion. So, okay. So now we are going to move on to the hype portion of the show. So, okay, we are supposed to get, there it goes, the East Coast Horror Group.com website. And
pretty sexy.
Yeah, it's awesome, ain't it?
You should go there and check out all our panels that we've done and all of our past shows and Adam's amazing articles, interviews, reviews, just all kinds of crazy shit on there that you'll want to go see. And if you don't,
well, then don't go.
Use a bitch.
You is a bitch. That's what I'm saying. Look at that. Panels.
Boy, a lot of stuff out there, man.
Fucking free shit.
I read this one, The Wood Chipper Massacre. I'm behind, though, on Adam's stuff. You put out a lot of stuff there, mister. Okay, so that's all going on. Adam, what have you been reviewing lately that we should be looking forward to coming out on the page?
I should have a review of Severance up later this week, and Creature, the film that had Sid Haig in it, and for a little bit, Pruitt Taylor Vince was in that as well.
I think Creature was, like, at the time it came out, the lowest grossing film of all time or something.
It's fucking awful. But...
Yeah, I remember it opened like at 500 screens or something across the country, and it made like $35 or something. It just, I think the Kevin Spacey movie now beat it, but it did really poorly. And then, Drew, do you want to tell people what they should be wearing?
Well, you should be wearing a condom, but other than that, you should go on over to fastcustomshirts.com and check out East Coast Horror Group t-shirts there. You buy yourself one, and buy yourself 2 or 3. And, Halloween's coming up, so that's a good time for it. Also, Thursday is coming up. It's another good time to wear your East Coast Horror Group t-shirt. And if you don't want to wear it as a shirt, you can wear it as a pants. You could wear it as socks. You could also use it as a rope if you needed to get away from a high place. The use is really, I could talk for a full hour on all the different ways that you could use the East Coast Horror Group t-shirt and just the utility itself of the material. But
it's a very
helpful. It really speaks for itself.
You should definitely have it in your go bag for when you have a hurricane or something coming down on you.
For when you have to go.
Yeah, you should have your East Coast Horror Group t-shirt. That will help save your life. And I don't think that's hyperbole. That's just a fact.
We are working on East Coast Horror Group dental dams. So you ain't never got to eat that dirty vagina.
Nice.
Slap it on there.
Wow.
I did not know about that.
I didn't see that coming, to be
true. It actually just came to my mind, and I thought it would be good. It's actually going to be East Coast Horror Group and Drew's face. Right there, so you actually be licking Drew's face.
So that would be the little baby Drew face Poos Seidler dental dam.
Yes.
Okay. There we go.
For all the rotten vagina in your life.
That's wonderful. I'm so glad my face was on the screen when you said that. That's just awesome. All right. So remember, you can follow us on social media. I don't know why you would, but go ahead. It's on Facebook. We're on Twitter. We're all over the place. And if you have comments about the show, but let's face it, we've been on for years, and I think we've gotten 3 emails. But if you want, you can go ahead and send us an email at eastcoasthg@gmail.com. We want to wish everybody a fun and safe Halloween season. Hope you've started decorating a couple of weeks ago already, and that you're all set, because as we know, you have to have your stuff out right after Labor Day for Halloween. It's just a rule. So until next month, thanks again, by the way, Adam, for being on the show tonight.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me.
We like having you, and I think you're coming back on October 9th. I think you're coming back, so the next show that we're doing, you'll be on again. So that'll be exciting. So until the next time we're on the air, and of course, check your local listings, East Coast Horror Group suggests sleeping with the light on. Whatever you do, don't run, you little puss sissy. It's seriously what it says.
You wrote it.
East Coast Horror.
He has a new book out. You should definitely check that out.
Dude can't even read. How the fuck do you read a book?
This is like 30th book. You can have it for $25 shipped. He'll sign it.
Nice.
Hey, pal.
George Romero's also signed it somehow.
Really?
From the grave.
Fantastic. Good show, guys.
That was sexy.
It certainly was. I think this is going to be the top downloaded show of ours in like
a week.
Right. At least a week. It's fantastic. All right. Thanks, everybody that came out live tonight. And remember, you can download the shows at eastcoasthorrorgroup.com.
Should play a partner 2 Chains.
And there's a little song for everybody to go out on. Good night, everybody.